Hi guys, Ian here. Welcome to another video into my channel. And today I want to talk to you about a topic that was inspired by a conversation that I was having just yesterday. And I wanted to share some thoughts with you about it. And the conversation was about, of all of the world religions and spiritual systems, which one is right? And this is quite important, isn't it? Because, you know, you have Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, and various variants within that. Then you have other spiritual systems which are perhaps not religions as such, but they are philosophies on creation, existence, and so on and so forth. And belief in those religions or those systems has been responsible for so much damage and harm within our world, because even, for example, within Christianity you have Baptists, you have Anglicans, you have Pentecostals, you have Jehovah's Witness, you have all sorts of variations even within what appears to be one religion. And everyone thinks that they are right. Everyone thinks that they have got, you know, the definition of truth. Now, some religions are more tolerant of other religions. Some will allow you to have your belief and will still treat you as a valid and valued person. Others, not so much. And so it caused me to think, well, you know, who is right? And on what basis are they right? Now this is where it gets interesting, I think, because if you look at the sources of these religions and these spiritual systems, it'll come from one of primarily two sort of types of experience. One where divinity communicates to humanity. So, for example, in the Christian tradition, God talked to humanity through the prophets, and then latterly through Jesus Christ and the disciples. And God made his nature and intentions, in as far as we're able to know, known to us through those people. Now, in other traditions, it will be through gods and goddesses, and possibly even through, you know, some philosophies, they don't have gods and goddesses. What they have is the supreme consciousness, which dwells within, or part of it dwells within each of us, and to find divinity we have to find ourselves. So really, either way, whether we're talking about divinity communicating to us, or whether we're talking about us realizing our full potential, what we are talking about is touching something that is universal, that is source, that is whatever our conceptualization of divinity is. God, infinity, absolute nothingness, whatever that is to us. So when you think about it, really there can't be, can there, a God of the Christians, a separate God of the Islamists, a separate God of the Jehovah's Witnesses. There can't be a multiplicity of absolute infinite beings. There can be only one. So the infinite being doesn't change. It is what it is, what it ever was, and what it ever will be. What is different is how we conceptualize what that being, that infinity, that source, that God, what it is. So divinity does not change. What changes is our interpretation of it, which is quite interesting, I think. Because what we have to realize is that when we are trying to understand transcendental things, things that are above and beyond our day-to-day human experience, we are faced with a problem, because we can only comprehend something that is within the parameters of that which we are capable of knowing. Does that make sense? You cannot understand something that is totally out of the framework of your experience. We know what we know, don't we, through sight and sound and touch and smell and hearing. And we have a mind where we can imagine, and in our minds, when we imagine, we use all the experiences of our lives and of our world and of possibilities within our lives and in our worlds. But we can't comprehend something that is none of those things, that is completely outside of anything that we have ever known or can think. So what we do when we touch something that is transcendental, which is beyond that which we have a shape and a fit and an explanation and a description for, what we do is we try and fit it in to something that makes it knowable to us. And when the prophets, for example, of the Christian tradition would see these amazing visions, like in the book of Revelation, they would see what they would see, they would experience what they would experience in that transcendental state. But then they would have to bring it back, wouldn't they? They'd have to bring it back so it makes sense. Firstly, that it makes sense to themselves. And secondly, that it makes sense in a way that they can share with other people. So we have a tendency of making things mean things. So we'll say, it's like. Think about well, it's a bit like that. So we liken that which we want to communicate to something that we both know. So straight away we hit our first issue, that we are trying to represent something that is outside of our experience in a form and in a language that is inside our experience, so that we can understand what it is we've seen or heard or experienced, and then hopefully we can share it either through telling people, writing it down in scripture, or passing it through, an oral tradition. So already we have got a limiting factor. And one religion will operate on the basis of the revelation that its prophets or teachers has received and has interpreted. Another religion will do the same. Or spiritual systems that are not religions will use the experience of the individual. They will talk about, enlightenment. So, okay, so what's the purpose of all this? Maybe there's nothing new in what I'm saying here. But what's made me realise is, well, I've realised it for a long time, but what it's brought into sharp focus is that there aren't a multiplicity of infinite beings. There is only one. That does not change depending on how humanity describes it or tries to conceptualize it. It doesn't change whether this person call it God, this person call it Allah, this person call it Shiva. The infinite doesn't change. All it changes is our description of it and the degree to which the revelation of that source, that being, that divinity, is full. Whether it's a full revelation, whether it's a partial revelation. And it brings me back to a statement made by Dion Fortune, who was a very famous occultist. And she says, and I've repeated it a number of times in my videos, She says this: all the gods are one God, and all the goddesses are one goddess, and there is one initiator. So it doesn't matter how we represent God, how we represent goddesses. They are all one. They're all one God, they're all one goddess, and the one God and the one goddess is one. Is one infinite being, one initiator of creation, one supreme sustainer of existence. And you know, if we could understand that, you know, it would take so much, wouldn't it, of all of the bitterness and anguish and war out of our world, where we fight over who's right about what God is, whether it's my God is right or whether it's your God is right, or, you know, and we're even prepared to kill because of that belief, because I am right and all of you are wrong. That can't be right, can it? Just one infinite being, one creator, one sustainer of existence. Okay, well, I'm done. Thanks for listening. Great to chat to you guys, and I'll catch you all soon. Bye.